And a very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into the Tuesday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. Chris Buchanani filling in for the dear Goon today. Booch, how are we doing?
Wonderful, Ironhead. How about yourself?
No complaints, actually. No complaints. No complaints today as we head into what now feels like a much more important than I thought it was going to be game against Villanova, just in terms of the feel that I think Penn State fans and probably the team itself has heading into unquestionably the most anticipated game of the season to date, with the whiteout game looming a couple of weeks from Saturday. It's interesting, Chris. We had on Jay Paterno on our morning show today to talk about his book, but we were talking a little bit about just the non-conference schedule and how easy it is, as much as you're trying to, as coaches and players and everybody affiliated with the program. We need to take each week seriously. We need to get the job done as we can. Fact is, it does have to come into play in the minds of the players and coaches that they know the Oregon game is looming, and that is the game that is going to largely determine whether or not this first month of the season anyway is a success or not. And to some degree, you take those first three games for granted in terms of the result. My concern, Booch, because I do think, we get into the conversations every now and then as to whether or not you think that a team can, quote unquote, flip the switch. I think in terms of intensity, and the intensity certainly was not there against FIU. I don't think there's anybody anywhere that would say, man, boy, that was just an intense football team.
Quite the opposite.
I do think that, yes. I do think the intensity, right? Like inevitably, you come out of the tunnel, and instead of seeing huge empty sections here and there, you see 106,000 clad in white screaming their heads off. Right? I mean, you get it. There's a different intensity. What I worry about, though, Booch, is whether or not some of the habits that I think that this team is forming will carry over into that Oregon game. So the intensity will be there. That I have no doubt about, and I'm not worried necessarily about the emotional component maybe not being where you'd hope it would be, just for consistency, for consistency's sake in these first couple of games. But it's more so, all right, if you're coming up out of your stance too soon, or you're not running a precise route because, hey, we know we can get away with this. Well, are you actually going to be able to dial in and, all right, well, now it's Oregon, so now I know I will run a precise route, or I will make the right read, the right cut. That's what I'm not sure. That's more concerning to me than necessarily the intensity level not being where you would like it to be. Certainly, I'm sure as coaches, but as fans as well.
Yeah, and Oregon certainly didn't look like they had any intensity or focus issues this past week in putting 69 points on the
Which
board.
is another component for sure. Yep.
Meanwhile, Penn State, especially in that second half, but really through most of the game, didn't look like they could find their rear end with both hands. So I think that's a totally valid concern. And to your point about what happens if that Oregon game does not go Penn State's way, that was always going to be a major pain point, the way the schedule lays out. But because of the way the first two games, but particularly this most recent one, has gone, I mean, people's hair is going to be on fire. Well, we got plenty of time to look at it, and I don't want to panic, and I don't want to borrow trouble. But the reality of it is, Ironhead, there's been 9 months of justifiable buildup to this season. And the product on the field so far has not only underwhelmed expectations, I think, contrary to what James said in his opening statement of his presser this week, I think it got worse from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah, so that there are several things that I think fans should rightfully be concerned about, and I think it's not. A lot of the national shows are doing the old overreact, underreact after the first weekend of the NFL. And so it's one of those things. Yeah, I don't think you want to overreact. I don't think it's that Penn State has no hope of now contending for a national title or anything like that. But I also don't think, as a program, that they can afford to underreact to what you've seen. One of the things that we've talked about a lot during the offseason is, hey, the leadership on this team. And I think rightfully we were pointing to that, the experience of this team. Well, what we were counting on, I think, as fans, speaking from the fan standpoint, is that means you're going to be able to handle business. You're going to be able to come out and not overlook a Nevada or a Villanova or an FIU, because you understand that this is important to the overall process here, and you want to take care of business. You want to get the younger kids more reps earlier, certainly, than what you saw against FIU. And so I think that is fairly disappointing through the first 2 games. And I think what is especially disappointing for many of us, the old cliche that you're going to see the most improvement a team makes is from week 1 to week 2. For the love of God, that better not be the case. For this year's
nowhere to go to but up,
or this is going to be.
Yeah, that is the Mike the Mailman glass half full view is there's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, but I do think so. Listen, the result I am taking for granted against Villanova. I do think it is important now that this team this week, that you see an Oregon-like performance in terms of what they were able to do and the way they were able to handle their business over these first 2 weeks, that you see that type of, where it's that first drive of the third quarter, the debate is, should we leave the starters in and get them one more set of reps, or no, do we not risk any injury and get the second and third teamers out there right out of the gate? Like, that's the decision that should be made at halftime, not, all right, how do we figure out where to go with this 10-0 lead where we've not looked, we've looked very pedestrian.
Ironhead, let me ask you a question. I have been making the rounds with this on my various media outlets. We talk about it on the obligatory pregame show, which is going to post on For the Bloggies YouTube channel later tonight.
Yep.
How would you describe the identity of this team through 2 weeks?
Well, so as a team, I'll try to answer your question, but then I have a follow-up, because I think it's a similar question and on the same page. So I would say the identity of this team, I don't think there is an identity offensively, and I think that's what you're getting. I think the identity of this team right now is, they have a lot of playmakers on that defensive line, and this defense can come up big when need be, at least against the Nevadas and the Florida Internationals of the world. Like, they have created
turnovers. I mean, you play who's on your
schedule,
schedule, right?
Yes. But they have done, I think they look like an opportunistic group. They look like a group that again, can make the big play when it's needed. And so, to me, very much opposite of what was anticipated. The identity of this team through the first 2 weeks is, defense can keep you in games and hopefully can continue to win you games. And listen, I know the special teams, I get some of the inconsistency problems, but Booch, the other part of this identity is you've got a punter and a half. I get the one field goal. I'm not particularly worried. I think the field goal kicking is rock solid. We talk about the depth in this team. Not often do I concern myself, and I'm not necessarily concerned that, boy, you got to have two punters. But, man, this team has two punters. Like, the depth extends into the kicking game here as well. And I think even on the return front, I'm excited about what we've seen through these first couple of weeks, and I'm excited about the depth there. So those are the areas that I feel good about. But in terms of an offensive identity, has anybody given you what I know what we thought it was going to be? It clearly is not what we thought it was going to be. I don't think there is through these first couple of games an identity for this offense. And I think what is really concerning about that is we presumed we knew what that identity was going into the season. We felt, I think the overwhelming majority of Nittany Nation is like, well, no, I know it's going to be a running team. I think Drew Aller is going to be able to come up with big plays. Hopefully the receivers can respond. But, yeah, this team is going to be a team that can run people over. And through two games against inferior competition, that is not the identity that this year's squad has at this time for sure.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, it's an open-ended question. I don't know that there's a right answer, but there is a consensus answer, and it's what you just said. It's hard-nosed defense, which typifies Penn State football most of the time throughout the program's history, and an alarming lack of any kind of identity on offense. And when you ask what should be the identity of the team, it's basically the profile of 2023 Michigan. It's a team that can stifle you with defense and then grind you into dust with a stout offensive line and a potent running game. And so I think, Ironhead, what we were hoping to see in these first 2 weeks is that what we considered a given, which was reliable O-line play and great performances from your senior star running backs, would then open the door to the possibility of a found money passing game that combines a senior former 5-star quarterback with these purported upgrades you've made through the transfer portal. And there were glimpses of that, perhaps, against Nevada. But mostly what I've seen is a scheme that seems to have no cohesion to it whatsoever. I mean, we all assume, largely because of his reputation coming in, that Andy Kotelnicki represents the upgrade we all needed over Mike Yursich. But I haven't seen it in the plays called in the first 2 weeks. I mean, more often than not, I've just seen all four doors of the clown car open at once. The run game has been what I would describe quite charitably, as inconsistent. And the passing game stunk against FIU. Drew Aller had a bad day, and I got his head coach without a whiff of irony telling the press they need to stop asking him questions about it after the game because it might make him nervous. This is not filling me up with a ton of confidence here, Ironhead.
Yeah, so we're
one bad performance against Villanova away from the second worst bye week in Penn State football history.
Potentially, for sure. Here is the other thing, Booch. When you look at the offense, and like if you were able to just bring somebody in and say, let's analyze this team, and you don't have any of the history, we don't know the expectations. Like I think if you just brought in an analyst that has no idea what the personnel is, what the history or the experience is, through the first 2 weeks, I think you would say, looking at just the film against Nevada and FIU, boy, this team has a good receiving core. They've got to do a better job of getting the ball to the receivers when they're open, but a really good receiving core. The tight ends, I will say, the one thing that I think has held up, both catching and blocking, Khalil Dickens, watch his blocking if you want to see a guy that is bringing the intensity on offense. But I would say you would, through these first two games, that's the strength of your team is man, those wide receivers look good, solid, tight ends look really good across the board. And then I think you would say, yeah, it's an offensive line that, okay, but boy, they are not getting the tough yards when they need be. Well, that's, I mean, we've been through that over the last couple of decades with Penn State.
We multiple times against FIU that's just
against FIU. Yes. Yeah, and again, I get that maybe they're bringing guys in the box and all of that. I don't care. You this is supposed to be the strength of your football team. All of this talent, all of this experience. Man, I don't care if they bring all 10 guys to one person and you're running behind that person. This team this year is supposed to be able to get that yard or 2 yards when they need it. And we're not seeing it, not through 2 games against inferior competition. And so, again, if you're just blindly going into this, like offensive line, running backs, I think Katron Allen has looked good. Nicholas Singleton, Booch, just some of the decision-making, I don't know. To me, that is a real concern now because, again, that is – I go back to the habits. If you're not – I don't care who the opposition is. You ought to be seeing and hitting the hole when it's there, and he's not seeing it for some reason, and he's certainly not hitting it.
You wonder, I understand you can go granular into the film study and pick apart errors being made on the offensive line, some of which appear to be just kind of working through. I know it's a small thing, but Anthony Donko in there at right guard, also switching out with Cooper Cousins off and on, but he's playing a new position, coming off injury, all learning to play together. There are those things, but you wonder how much better we'd be feeling about the O-line overall had Nick just seen and run to a couple of those gaping holes that he passed up on Saturday. Yes.
I think so. I think you would you would say that the offensive line is a concern. The running game is concerning, in particular with Singleton and just kind of, there's opportunities there and he's letting them go. And then I think, fairly, you'd have to assess it. Yeah, the quarterback is really shaky. Like this is that is a concern. Let me be clear. I am not advocating. I am not saying that Drew Aller be benched. But I'm telling you, if you sat down and analyzed these first 2 games, the guy who made the consistently right decisions is Grunkemeyer. Again, that's concerning. And let me be, again, very clear because I know I'll get so you think Grunk should? No. I'm telling you that Grunkemeyer, I get it, against backups and all of that. I'm conceding all of that. I'm just telling you the decision-making and the throws, that the mechanics from Drew Aller were very disappointing this past Saturday. And, if you're not – if the coaching staff is concerned about – we don't want you guys asking him too many questions because we don't want his confidence shaken. Man, this is a senior quarterback. He's been through it. And again, one of my reasons for optimism this season is I figure he comes in with a chip on his shoulder from, all of the questions and the interception against Notre Dame. And so, man, I'm just going to go out here and I'm going to show what I have. I do buy into he's overthinking things, but I also, that is concerning in and of itself. Why is a senior who has been through what he has been through, and by the way, had the season he did last year, the interception against Notre Dame notwithstanding, that looked like a big-time quarterback. Why would – it feels like a couple of key spots here, Penn State is regressing. And again, I just kind of assumed that everything would be progressing. And again, I'm not telling you that the season is over because of what we've seen through the first 2 games. I'm telling you that there are some really big concerns, and there are some red flags going up here with Drew Aller and Nicholas Singleton and the offensive line in general that I think have greatly shaken the confidence of the fans as to what this team is capable of achieving this season. Now, could all of this go away over the next 3 weeks? Yep. They come out and they look sharp against Villanova. They put that game away at halftime. Drew Aller comes out and like a Heisman Trophy candidate and leads Penn State to a 10-point victory over Oregon. Yes, all of that can be solved beautifully. But right here, right now, yeah, there are some real concerns. And I think they are very valid concerns because you're just not expecting to see the issues you've seen through these first 2 games at the places you're seeing the issues. And one other point to that, Booch, is, again, going into the season, my concern was, all right, the receiving core, yeah, we're hearing good things. How are they going to actually respond in a game? Well, they've responded very well. Again, very small sample size, inferior competition. But, yeah, overall, I think that group looks like it's a good, solid receiving core. They don't look like there's any major concerns there. Now, again, could that change after the Oregon game? Of course. But I'm just telling you right now that group looks good. My other concern, my probably next biggest concern, was the depth along the defensive line. Well, I'm pretty pleased with what we've seen. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that 100%. We know that is completely resolved and there's no issues if Denai Dennis Sutton goes down. No, but man, they look good. They have some rising stars who have stepped up in a big way. So 2 of the bigger areas of concern to me, if you had told me before these first 2 games, hey, Ironhead, you're going to get some really good play from some of these reserves along the defensive line. You're going to get a couple of INTs by defensive tackles, and the receiving core, you're going to have a great catch by Devontae Ross. You're going to have some really solid play by Pena. You're going to have the whole overall scene with the receivers and the defensive line. I tell you, cool. Man, everything, we are rolling. Penn State is ready to go. And the other question was, the linebacking core, and I think there's still some questions there. I don't, not as much panic maybe, and panic's probably overstating it with the offensive concerns, but the linebackers remain a concern. But the other two of the 3 questions I had going into the season have been at least partially answered very nicely through the first 2 games. But a couple of the things that I just took for granted were going to be rock solid, looking very, very shaky. So it's just been a very surprising start to the season. And again, I really think there is a great deal of import on how this team looks, how they go about their business here on Saturday against Villanova. And I do think we're going to get a better indication of whether the leadership on this team that, again, I took for granted that it's there. I'm not sitting here telling you it's not there. I will tell you, if they come out and this game is 10-0 at halftime against Villanova, there is something amiss with the leadership on this team. And again, I don't have enough insight to be able to point the fingers at, I'm not going to blame the captains per se, but I mean, something is off if this team, after all of the concern now coming through these first 2 games, doesn't come out and show some fire and play with some more precision against another inferior opponent, knowing now what is around the corner and knowing what Oregon has done to this point and what the ultimate objectives of this year's team are. They have to come out and look sharper, and a couple of individuals in particular, to me, Booch, they've got to take the leadership mantle and come out and say, yep, this is who we're going to be, not what we saw last week against FIU.
Yeah, you said it as well as it could be said, Ironhead. I think you summed it up very well. And, I think to varying degrees, they do a good job keeping the noise, the outside noise from infiltrating the Lash building. Nevertheless, there is, and I won't spend too much time on it, but in my opinion, an inappropriate level of fixation on what is being said in the media among folks inside the football program that I think probably starts at the top and has filtered on down. Beyond that, these guys are students. Not all of them are taking all their classes online. They walk around campus. They walk around town. And the tension level is kind of high. I know certainly among the longtime fans, it's high. There is a once bitten, twice shy tentativeness in a large portion of this fan base from years of close but no cigar 1-point losses to Ohio State and upsets on the road at Minnesota and terrible interceptions at the end of the Notre Dame game. Everybody wants to believe, but man, they've put their hand on the stove a couple of times here and come away pretty badly burned. And so just when people were getting ready to get back over and buy in again, you just go out and drop a steamer like that FIU game, and everybody pulls back. And so if they're not given a reason to not stew in their own juices over the next 2 weeks while Penn State's on bye, and they have to watch all these other top-ranked teams in the country keep putting up, 70-point output, it's going to get tense. And that is going to be felt inside the Lash building. I guarantee it. And from what I've seen, that is not what this team, and certainly not what its quarterback and maybe its head coach also needs.
Yeah, we'll take a break here. When we come back, I want to pick up on just kind of what we're seeing with the Andy Kotelnicki offense, and as always, we talk about this every year, but you base performance on expectations, right? And so that's why I think this is so disappointing through 2 games. And I think that the expectations are rightfully high. I mean, I don't think this is a case. I could argue maybe to go. Sitting back and looking at it now, it's like, okay, maybe got a little carried away with expectations. This team, this program, there's no question about it. They went all in for this year.
Let's not forget, the BTN guys came here. Jerry DiNardo said it was one of the best teams he's seen in 19 years. Jake Butt said this is one of the most talented teams in college football. This is not just some fairy tale that Nittany Nation told itself. Objective observers have come out here. NFL scouts said there is a minimum 11 draftable guys that they're watching in practice. There is a disconnect between the talent on the roster and probably even what's happening on the practice field and the results inside Beaver Stadium. Now, again, if I'm, Mike the Mailman glass half full, I say great, because then we know there's objective verification that all they need to do is put it together. And I'd rather see them put it together in 3 weeks than against FIU, who we blanked 34-0.
Yeah, I do want to pick up on what we've seen and where we think this thing can go when we return. We'll take a break here. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We appreciate your doing so here on this very nice Tuesday afternoon. Quick note, we will have the Pirates-Orioles game on Thursday afternoon. It actually works out well. The Dear Goon trying to get his health worked out, and I actually have a my kiddo is getting an expander in on Thursday afternoon, so the timing there from a personal standpoint for Goon I worked out just fine. But we will not have the Goon and Ironhead show here on Thursday.
After all these years, the Pirates do something nice for you. How about it? Long overdue.
Yes, they actually are helping us out for a change. So that game will get underway. I think it's at 1:10. And by the way, we will have Joe Lednowski's show from noon to 1. So we'll join the Pirates in progress. Well, the pregame coverage in progress. We'll have the entire game, but we won't have all of the pregame that normally we would have but we'll join the Pirates at 1, and then we'll have after the Pirates on Thursday, just Fox Sports the rest of the way. Jed Donahue will give you a little heads up here too, is under the weather and now has some testing scheduled for the next few days. So Jed will be off today through Thursday, and so Fox Sports will run in his stead from 4 to 6 here in the afternoon. And Jed's show, if all goes well, we're expecting he'll be back on Friday from 4 to 6, and then of course he'll have his Saturday blowout from 8 a.m. to noon as well. So just some scheduling notes for you as we get ready for the rest of the week and the Villanova game coming up here on Saturday, 3:30 kickoff, by the way, at Beaver Stadium. And if you're not heading up to the stadium, you can catch the action on FS1 this week. Again, we're back with some more thoughts on the Nittany Lions and that offense as we continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Your first half champion, State College Spikes, host the 2025 MLB Draft League Championship game at Medler Field at Lebrano Park, Thursday, September 4th. Get your tickets now for just $10 a piece. Enjoy Dollar Dog Night with $1 hot dogs and Thirsty Thursday with $2 12-ounce drafts while supplies last. And the Spikes offer free admission to all students in partnership with Penn State Spa, the Student Programming Association. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again,
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Tuesday afternoon. Again, our only show of the week for the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Pirates baseball will rule the airwaves here on the station on Thursday afternoon. And so lots to get into here today ahead of the Penn State-Villanova game coming up on Saturday. We've been talking, as most Penn State fans have been, about the offense and the concerns about just the way the team has looked and kind of the overall feel that you have right now with, from that offense. And just a couple of other things, Booch, just in the back of my mind. Again, everybody is hoping, and I still think it could turn out this way, that Penn State is kind of trying to follow the formula of Michigan a couple of years ago and then Ohio State last year in terms of, all right, all in. We've got certainly, like Ohio State last year, some guys returning that certainly could have gone to the NFL last year. Feels like they addressed the areas of concern properly through the transfer portal. And so again, it like everything's lining up. Couple of things. We have talked about it, and I think it felt and still feels like it probably is in good shape, but it just in the back of my mind now, one of the things that I'm wondering about as I'm watching this thing is that money that is there now. And it is money that is already in the bank for some of these players. Is that, and I think anytime, any team, this is just the unfortunate reality of the world we're in. Again, I'm not sitting here telling you, oh yeah, no, I can see it. The reason Singleton isn't making those cuts is he's on easy street. He's got the big money. Not what I'm saying. But what I just am wondering in the back of my mind, it's like, are some of these players maybe not as motivated as we assumed they would be? Because, you know what, I'm good. Financially, this is more than I ever envisioned from a college career, because for the seniors, that they weren't envisioning, I suspect, anything coming out of their college career. Again, I'm not sitting here telling you that that's the answer. By God, the reason this team hasn't performed too much. No, but I do wonder: are they all? Do they still have the same level of motivation? I don't know. But unfortunately, I just think the world we're in, again, it is going to be a question. Well, or simultaneously with that, maybe it's not that they're on easy street. Maybe it's that now I feel more pressure. I feel too much pressure. That now I know I'm being paid. The fans know I'm being paid. I'm not performing the way I want, the way fans are expecting. And is the money putting pressure on them? Again, it's just things that you wonder about. And again, I get it. This is across the board in big-time college football. Well, then why isn't Oregon? Well, not everybody responds the same. I'm just, and again, I don't think it's an across-the-board thing. I'm not telling you one way or the other that all of the Penn State players are reacting this way. I'm not saying any of them are, but I just am wondering, is it affecting anybody in a negative way in terms of team performance? I don't know. I wonder about it after these first two games, because this thing is not looking the way I thought it would. Goon and I talked in the offseason, and Goon compared it in terms of expectations to the 94 offense. He's like, across the board, this is a team that has a ton of talent and experience along the offensive line. The running game, everybody assumed was going to be a dominant force. You have a very experienced quarterback now in Drew Aller, and you have that second-year coordinator now in Andy Kotelnicki, so he has a better feel for the players. Players have a better feel for him. Well, you would think then that out and does look like a smooth operation right from the get-go, and it's looked anything but, especially against FIU last week.
Yeah, the money angle is very interesting. Maybe I'm just naive, or maybe I'm just not used to the fact that these guys are getting paid still, Ironhead, but it had not really occurred to me. But man, I'm not saying I think that's the case. And honestly, if I had to bet, I would say it's not. But it's you have to take it into consideration, because we've just seen that way too often in the NFL, right? The big drop off after the guy goes from his contract year to the big deal afterwards.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, and again, I want to be clear. I don't have any insight here, and I'm not saying that this is the reason. I'm just telling you it was in the back of my mind as I'm watching this game Saturday.
Totally
I
reasonable
wonder
point to bring up.
And the other thing with it, Booch, is and Goon has talked a lot about this. And again, I'm not saying this is the case. I don't know how you couldn't help but wonder if there is some friction, and we've seen no indication of this, by the way, like in the player interviews or anything. We've not seen it, but Goon has talked about one of the concerns he has with the money that's being thrown around now, especially at star players, is all right. Well, now you have these guys know, at least have a ballpark of, all right, well, this guy who's new is getting this. This guy who's been here for 5 or 6 years, busting his tail, is getting this much less. They're contributing, maybe the guy that's been here 5 or 6 years is contributing more. Again, I don't know. I do wonder if there's like any pettiness, any jealousy. Again, I think James Franklin has done a great job of managing this, and it was not a concern going into the season. And I'm with you. If you put truth serum in me, hey, Ironhead, do you think that's what's going on? No, I don't. But I do wonder, because there's just those different components now. And is somebody not happy and maybe not pulling for the team as much as you would expect, just because of some concern over what this guy next to me is making when I'm the one out here in the starting role. I don't know that to be the case, and I again, if you put truth serum in me, I'm not expecting that's really what's going on, but something is going on. This team is not clicking the way we expected through 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, you offered two possible explanations, the latter of which I think is maybe more likely, and that's the very public, unavoidable pressure that comes along with being ranked where Penn State is ranked, being talked about the way they've been talked about locally among the fan base, but also nationally. You can't tune all of that out, especially not in the modern environment where it's beamed directly to a device that's on you at all times. It is so hard, I am sure, to resist the urge to open up Instagram and Twitter and see what people are saying. And so, we've talked in the preseason, Ironhead, about the 99 team. And I don't know, my impression of that team in retrospect is that I do think the pressure got to them a little bit. And so when they lost that game to Minnesota, their first loss of the season, they couldn't pull it back together because the arrangement that existed at the time. And I don't remember what happened through the rest of the season, whether this would have been the case or not. But your first loss and you were out of it. And I think that team had kind of bought into that season as a zero-sum game of we either win it all or we're a failure. And so after they lost their first game in kind of heartbreaking fashion, they couldn't pull it back together. Well, I do think it's possible that this team is playing tense, feeling the weight of that pressure, instead of just going out there and saying like, hey, yeah, right, people have expectations of us, but they're never going to be higher than the ones we have of ourselves. And we're just going to play without reservation. And that's how you hope the team would look. Well, through 2 weeks, it has not looked that way. Maybe there's a chance for them to hit the reset button this week.
Yeah, and listen, we're dealing with human beings. I know it's sometimes hard for folks to remember that, media and fans alike. Well,
there's so much AI out there, Ironhead. We just don't know what's real anymore.
Yes, but there's a lot of different pressures and a lot of different things coming into play. Again, going into the year, I really thought these first 3 games that this would be a team, Penn State, that would be playing loose.
Yeah, me too.
And knowing that they were going to win these games, would go out and be trying some different things. But one of the things that just James Franklin used the overthinking terminology with both Drew Aller and Nicholas Singleton. And normally, when I think of somebody overthinking, it's like, well, that's a young talent, like Underwood at Michigan. I would not be surprised if he's overthinking things here early in the season.
Yeah.
And coaches would be telling him, no, just go out and play. We'll figure this stuff out. Like, that's normally, I think of the overthinking as somebody that's young and trying to do everything precise. I guess it is just, it is, again, I'm not in panic mode, but it is more than a little concerning to me that you have 2 of your most veteran and most accomplished in terms of statistics in their careers at this point, 2 of those guys that the coach is saying are overthinking against the opponents that Penn State has faced. That, again, correctable, sure, and maybe this thing all does come together, and I still think that is a very distinct possibility. But I also there are some red flags now that are going up. It's like, well, why would you be overthinking if you're Drew Aller and you have what you have at your disposal with this offense and you have the resume that you do? Why are you overthinking a swing pass against FIU? Like that just, it's concerning to me. I don't know how else to state it. And again, I don't want to make more of it than it is. The whole, I don't want to overreact, but I also, they can't afford to underreact, because if you're overthinking against Oregon, you're not winning that game. You're just not.
Yeah. I'm thinking through your thesis here, which is that veteran players ought to have outgrown the tendency to overthink. Now, in the case of Nick,
in particular against inferior competition.
Yes. Yeah. Very good point. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the explanation is for there's a hole you can drive a Mack truck through and Nick Singleton doesn't hit it. That said, what we know about his personality, and I think this is overall a very positive thing, is he's a serious dude. He takes his craft very seriously, and he's just very focused on becoming the best player he can be. That's his raison d'etre, right? Well,
yep.
I get the sense, like, for whatever criticisms people may have leveled at Jawan Sider as a position coach, I think there was not a lot of debate about him as a recruiter. I've heard some varied opinions about his ability as a developer of talent. And to be honest with you, I've heard many people say, in terms of teaching, there's no less important position on a college coaching staff than running backs coach, because you either have it or you don't.
Yep.
And a lot of, you can tweak things, but really it's about natural talent and feel for the position. But I think he had kind of settled in through 3 years. And now in his last year in the program, he gets a new running backs coach. And at least if what James says is to be believed, it seems like maybe he's had a bunch of things thrown at him that were intended to help him maximize his talent. and he's just thinking about all of that off-season teaching he got too much. Again, I think the good news there is that ought not to be too difficult to coach out of him because it's relatively new, right? You can just say, hey, Nick, forget all that stuff I told you. Just go out there and be you. And maybe he can revert back to a better version of himself relatively easily. But yeah, it is a little odd that two guys who are fourth-year seniors in the program, who've played a lot of football at a very high level, are now having an issue that they're thinking too much. Although, again, maybe in Nick's case, it's change in position coach. And in Drew's case, it may be that he spent the offseason stewing about the end of the Orange Bowl. You know, the thing about that throw was one way or the other, it will define his legacy at Penn State. It may define his entire football career. And it's all about how you approach the opportunity that was put in front of him, which was to play one more season and add another chapter to the story. And that's the kind of pressure that can make or break a person. And, you know, the early returns are not lighting my pilot light. I'm trying to be as polite as I can be here. And folks can probably read between the lines.
Well, so here's another thing to throw into the hopper is it not fascinating?
But before you say this, Ironhead, real quickly, is this the most hand-wringing that's ever been done over a 34-0 shutout?
I feel like
we've lost.
Start where
Penn State has lost games that I have not been as angry as I am after we beat FIU 34-0, which is kind of the point. When you schedule teams like this, it really is a lose-lose proposition. So I'm sorry, go ahead. Your point.
Yeah, and they are averaging, again, to your point, through the first two games, the average score is 40 to 5.5.
Right.
No matter who you're playing, like just that is, that's pretty good. But again, it is what you saw, the way Penn State went about its business. And I think, again, going back to my theme of the things that we thought we knew going into the season and the things that we think we know now, or that we've seen at least through the first two games. Another one I'll throw into the hopper, Booch, is the confusion that I thought would be there on offense would be for opposing defenses. It's like, man, you don't know which way this team is going to hit you. Are they going to hit you with the three tight end set here? Are they going to hit you with Hatron Allen there, Nicholas Singleton throwing it out there? And are they going to be able to get the deep balls with the receivers? The concern, and I don't think it was a grave concern, but it was brought up on more than a few podcasts and in a couple of articles, is, you know, Jim Knowles, it is a complicated defense. It takes folks a while. Well, the defense, they look like they know what they're doing. Again, I have some concerns with the linebacking core, but it's not from, boy, they just don't look like they're in position. It's more, I'm not sure on the physical front how that's going to hold up. But in terms of, I mean, we haven't seen the confusion. They just didn't know which coverage that they were supposed to be in, and again, I'm not sitting here telling you that that's not going to be an issue at all season long. I'm just telling you, through the first two games, it's just the opposite. I figured the offense, again, would be really looking like a well-oiled machine because it's a second-year coordinator, knows what he has, and I just kind of figured that everything would be flowing there. And defense, truthfully, I thought it would take a little while to have them really looking efficient. I wasn't going to be overly concerned if there was a breakdown in coverage here. And, oh, my gosh, FIU had a wide-open touchdown. I was like, okay, what happens early in the season? They're getting on the same page. It's been just the opposite. The offense is the one that they have looked themselves confused in some spots, and in particular, Drew Aller. In terms of, man, what should I do here? And how do we go about executing? And the defense, from an execution standpoint, from man being in the right position, overwhelmingly through these first two games, Booch, it feels like that they have a very good feel, very good sense for what they're doing. It's just been a weird start in a lot of different ways to me through two games, and I think all of this stuff again can be ironed out. It's as you were talking about the coaching, I was just thinking, I think I've talked about this before on the air, but one of the things that is probably undervalued with coaching, and it is something that really I've just observed and in watching Cale and his staff work with the wrestling program. And again, I know I've talked about this before on the show, but I always thought that, and I've never been a coach, and this would be partly why, but it's like, all right, well, if you're a coach, if you see somebody doing something not completely correct, like my kiddo is playing baseball. All right, he's 10 years old. So they're like, all right, you got to throw to first. But they work on mechanics. It's like, all right, when you throw, you want to follow through with your foot, right? And all of those things. It's like, yep, you're working on your mechanics. And you can see the kids sometimes, just like with youngsters in any sport. It's like, all right, you see maybe sometimes overthinking instead of just picking up the ball and throwing. It's like, well, the coach told me to go overhand and follow through. And so they're doing everything that the coach has told them. And then you have to, all right, well, also though, just get the ball and throw it. Like at the end of the day, you got to get it there as quick as you can. The mechanics are part of it too. But so when you're young, again, you're teaching the fundamentals. I always thought, just that, again, it's like, well, all right, if a guy is doing something not quite right, you coach him, and then the next week it's like, all right, you got to keep your shoulder low. We notice that, you're hitting them in the chest. You need to be hitting them in the hip. Well, once you're into the season, that maybe is not always the case. It may be something where there are some things that, and again, it depends how big of a thing it is. But sometimes as a coach, it's like, I don't want them to be overthinking this. And it is working, and it's something we can address in the next off season. Let's instead focus on some other things that we need to add to the game here or there, and then we'll go back. And, I'm making up, not Penn State related, not Drew Aller related. But if you see a quarterback who, something is just a little off with the drop back, and it's like, man, we need to correct that. But it's working pretty well. Like he's taking that extra little hop there. In the offseason, we need to address that. You don't worry about it now because it's part of the game. And again, I'm using that just as a made-up example. What I'm wondering is if Penn State is being overcoached. That one of the reasons there is this overthinking by the players is, again, that you have what you have, and maybe it's not perfect. Maybe there are some things that these guys can do to be better at the next level and all of that. But maybe now isn't the time to be focused on it. Maybe now is the time. Hey, let's play to the strengths that you have. Again, sometimes there's a lot more to coaching than I think we give credit for. It's the relationships, it's the X's and the O's, and it is making sure the fundamentals are right. But then there's also knowing, all right, that is something that is not ideal, and we need to address. But let's not address it now because that's not what we want our quarterback focused on. At this particular stage of his career. And again, I also don't know, just like I don't know with some of the other stuff we talked about, if that's what's going on. But I do wonder when you have a couple of veteran seniors, say your head coach talking about a couple of veteran seniors overthinking, to me, part of the problem might be, all right, sometimes you got to stay out of the way as a coach too of the player. And I wonder again, just wonder if that is part of what is going on here with this offense. Because to me, that is odd. And both Aller and Singleton is you said, Booch. I mean, these aren't players that take their talent for granted or take their they are both very studious, very committed players from everything we've heard from day one of their careers. I mean, they are team first guys. They are very coachable. That is part of what just is weird to me, is that we have both of these guys being talked about as they're overthinking things at a stage of their career where I would think that it's just, man, this stuff is second nature now. Just go out and let it fly, let it rip. And again, maybe there's a little thing here or there that you need to tweak and you work on through these first 3 games. But it feels like there's more than that going on right now.
Yeah. As you're talking all about this, Ironhead, and we kind of got into this a little bit too on this weekend's obligatory podcast that just came out. I do kind of get the sense that with some of these kids, guys, whatever you want to call them, I'm old enough. I'm going to do the Paterno thing and call them kids. Okay.
I'm with you. Yes.
They're in college. All right. So it's 24 is the new 18. Nick and Drew in particular, but a number of them, if in fact, especially, they are feeling the pressure. I kind of feel like there's maybe less technique to be developed than just getting them to unwind a little bit and not be so tightly coiled up, ready to spring. Just let them go out there and be themselves. You know, I was thinking of 2 coaching quotes while you were talking there, Ed. One from the late, great Joe Paterno himself, which is that you're either getting better or you're getting worse, and you never stay the same. And that's, kind of a good rule for life. And I wonder whether or not there was some pressure felt by our coaching staff this offseason to say, hey, we got to continue to find ways to keep the running backs and to keep Drew Aller engaged, working on tweaking little things. And maybe they overdid it, especially with the tailbacks, Nick in particular. Because then there's another philosophy that is relevant here. Did you ever hear the Bum Phillips quote when he was asked about Earl Campbell couldn't finish the mile run in off-season conditioning? Did you ever hear this?
Yeah, if it's what I forget the exact, but it's like, well, he's not going to.
Yeah, so Bum said when it's third and a mile, I won't give it to him.
Yeah,
and that to me, that's there's a very Zen response. That's the Tao of Bum Phillips right there, that he understood. Look, I have got one of the most talented running backs in professional football. My job is to appreciate that and not screw him up. And I'm just going to put him in a position to succeed and let him go be Earl Campbell. And the Oilers didn't win anything with that strategy, but Earl Campbell certainly had a Hall of Fame career following it. Yeah. And, this may be one of those cases where you have to hear the voice of Bum Phillips in your head. Just let these guys go be themselves. They're stars. They know how to do it. Just get them to understand that the best way for them to have success is to go out there loose, relaxed, and have a good time. Don't worry about every little detail we've been coaching you up in the offseason. Just go out and play football like you're taking handoffs at Governor Mifflin and running all over fools and being Pennsylvania Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah. And, watching the Jets and the Steelers on Sunday, like the Jets wanted to establish an identity that they are a physical team, that they are, and I get that the Jets lost, but man, they did what I think to a large degree, what they wanted to do in terms of, hey, we are changing the culture here. We're coming out. We're going to be a physical team when we need the tough yards. We think our offensive line and our running backs are going to do it, and we have that mindset. I guess that's what I'm hoping we see this Saturday now is that this Penn State team just gets back to having that identity. And I think that needs to be their identity. That, yes, Drew Aller and these receivers and the tight ends, when needed, we need them to come through too. Not saying that that's not part of it, but what this team is or should be, certainly on paper, is a team that, when it's 4th and 2, I saw some criticism. Man, James Franklin kept going for it. Well, I'm sorry. This team this year on 4th and 2 against Florida International should be getting that every single time.
It's
regardless
FIU.
of what FIU is doing in the box or with its personnel. It has to be that mindset. Again, with the talent that they have, the experience they have, that that's fine. You can bring everybody into the box. We are the bigger, meaner guys. We're going to go get the 2 yards when we need it every single time. And we're not seeing that for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. We're throwing out a bunch of different possibilities. None of those might be right, but it is not looking the way I think the overwhelming majority of us thought it would, and certainly the way the majority, I have no doubt in that locker room, thought this was going to look through the first 2 games. Again, we'll see what Saturday brings. I think it adds, because of what we've seen through the first 2 games, significant added import to how this team looks, not the result itself, but man, do you get the feeling that these guys are figuring some things out, that it is coming together, and you go into that bye week with a good feeling and some momentum that despite the 2-0 start, I don't think this program has right now. We'll take a break here, one final segment with Booch when we come back, and then we'll close things out solo for the final half hour of today's program. You're listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker
No
Steak
one
Lube.
likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors. People invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again, the Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America. 98.7, the Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
It was a great weekend. We're obviously talking a lot of Penn State football, but man, a great locally here, just a great football game at the high school level on
how about it?
Friday night with State College in Harrisburg. Just a wild comeback by the Little Lions, kind of started by a Matt Gall block punt. Harrisburg ends up winning it in double overtime, 48-45. But just a absolutely wild game, very, very entertaining. Just from an objective standpoint, it was a fun watch. And I do think that State High team, which is young at a lot of the skill position spots, Deontay Sheffy, obviously a lot of experience at running back, but a lot of younger receivers. They have a sophomore now at quarterback. And I think that that game is going to serve State College very well later in the season, having gone through that experience and some confidence, I think, gained with the way State College was able to come back in that one.
They had at least one freshman playing in that game too, did they not?
Yes. Well, yeah, the freshman receiver made the touchdown catch that led to the 2-point conversion, the tied it, which he also caught that and then fumbled it into the end zone, and State High gets the 2-point conversion. So, yeah, they have some significant freshman and sophomore contributors. Now a very experienced line, and that Harrisburg line.
Well, Kevin Brown looks pretty good, doesn't he?
I know they're good. Oh my gosh, he is a giant of a man, but he also, I mean, you can see it, Booch, his athleticism and the way he moves, the quickness with the size he has is. There are not many times that you see a lineman, even a great high school lineman, where you're like, yeah, that is definitely translating to the college level. I'm just telling you that guy, I'll be shocked if he is not a big time college offensive lineman before it's said and done. He has all of the tools certainly to be that.
I remember when Harrisburg, I think, came up here 2 years ago. Was the last time we played him in State College in the regular season, or might have had him in the playoffs last year. But I remember watching him in warmups, and this was when he was a sophomore. And I pointed him out, and I said, "Look at that guy's got to be a Division I recruit over there," because I didn't know who he was at that point. And so a buddy of mine was up from Philly for the FIU game, so we went on Friday night, and again, they're out on the field warming up, and I said, "Okay, Alan, you tell me which one of the guys on the offensive line is our big time recruit." And he looks at the line for about half a second. He's like, "Oh, 74."
Yeah.
And he also remarked, as you just did, on the just unbelievable level of evident athleticism that he possesses. I mean, my understanding is the intention is for him to grow into being an offensive tackle, but he almost looks like he could be a tight end, doesn't he?
He does. His athleticism is off the charts. He's just going to be a very special, very special player. Is a very special player, but I think is going to be at the next level as well. But yeah, fun, very fun on Friday night at Memorial Field. Real quick from the comments, if this past Sunday would have been against Virginia Tech as was originally scheduled, would they have been more focused? Obviously, it's unknowable. Yeah, I listen, I don't think I'm not as concerned. I'm slightly concerned about the focus and the intensity. You'd like that to be at a higher level, especially with the more experienced team, again, knowing everything. But that doesn't necessarily concern me nearly as much as, again, not being able to make some of the routine plays here on offense, some of the basic throws if you're Drew Aller, and not being able to take advantage of the, in a couple of cases anyway, some giant holes that were there for Nicholas Singleton. And that to me, that's the concern is just the lack of execution against inferior opponents. Now, maybe that's partly focus, but to me, that feels more like habits that need to be quickly broken here. And I want to see them broken this week against Villanova so that we have a better feeling going into the Oregon game. Also, Brendan writes in, playing devil's advocate, in recent years, when the O-line, has the O-line committed to the ground and pound, Dave Kingman syndrome, home runs or strikeouts, too many games unable to play small ball and run the clock when needed. Listen, I am not saying that you, every time there is 3rd and 2, you must run the ball and pound it. I am saying when you are playing Nevada, and you are playing Florida International, and this week you're playing Villanova, and you have an offensive line, including a 1994 offensive lineman himself, comparing this line to that group in terms of just overall talent across the board. And we're hearing everybody, I think rightfully say, they go 7 deep. They have 7 big-time collegiate offensive starters, and you have 2 of the best running backs in program history. I'm telling you, against those teams, Nevada and FIU, I want to see you go get those 2 yards every single time. Now, can that set up play action against Oregon or Ohio State or Iowa down the road? Yes, absolutely. I'm not telling you that no matter what, you must run on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. I am telling you, against inferior competition, not only should you be able to do that, you should be able to get that every single time. And I think it is to me, it is very concerning that you weren't able to. And that, yeah, again, that needs to be the identity. That doesn't mean, to me, that needs to be the identity of this team. Is
the same offense.
We're going to be a tough, physical, running football team.
Yeah, the same offense minus Sal Wormley, who's a good player. I mean, he's on an NFL practice squad right now, but is not irreplaceable given the talent at Penn State's disposal in the offensive line room. By the end of the season last year, they were doing exactly what you're describing against much better teams than Florida International. I mean, they were essentially doing, as Goon says, Marco Rivero used to do, call out where the run was going before the snap of the ball just to let the defense know what we were about to do to them. That was more or less what Penn State was doing by the time it got to the end of the season last year.
Yeah, and again, maybe it is just a lack of intensity or focus that they're taking it for granted. Again, to me, that is still concerning, but, maybe they do ratchet it up against Oregon. I would think just as players and as coaches, there's got to be a commitment this week to, we need to treat this like the Oregon game. I get that you're going to come out into the stadium and know that this isn't the same atmosphere, and you're going to look across the field and recognize, yeah, this is not Oregon talent. That's fine. I just think that there has to be a sense of urgency this week within the program, because this is your last dress rehearsal before the Oregon game. And the first 2 dress rehearsals have not gone as expected. Could you nail all of the lines and come out with the performance that everybody is going to be calling for an encore against Oregon. Of course, absolutely. That's what everybody in Nittany Nation is hoping that we ultimately get to see. But generally speaking, if you are consistently not nailing the lines in dress rehearsal, it makes it very unlikely that the one time you're going to nail your line is, when we're there on the big stage on opening night. That at least causes apprehension for the director if you've not nailed the line once going into this. And that's not to say that's probably not fair either, because they've had obviously some very good plays, both with the running Drew Aller through the first two games. I think they just have to get some things nailed down to feel good going into that Oregon game that, okay, we're on track here. This is the team we think we can be. And again, just through two games, it's not panic time yet, but I think very real concerns and some red flags have been raised. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but before I get out of here, could I say a couple of positive things? Because I feel like I said I've been less upset after losses than I am after this 34-0 victory. But there's
a lot of positive.
So let me give you one on offense.
Yep.
Let's be frank. There aren't a ton on offense.
Being one of them.
What's that?
Yeah, but there are a couple there. The Tasmanian Devil, which I love that
awesome.
On defense. We'll get to that. But go ahead. I have a couple that I think are really good on offense, but go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things I was really pleased with, one of the only things, frankly, I was pleased with on Saturday was how Luke Reynolds seems to be growing into the Tyler Warren security blanket role for Drew Aller. Now, if he fixates on Luke to the exclusion of his wideouts, that's not positive. But there was a lot of concern, a lot of outside criticism of, how are you going to replace Tyler Warren? And I said, well, you're not. Obviously, I'm not claiming that Luke Reynolds is going to be Tyler Warren, but I think he's going to be a lot better than people who have not followed the program or its recruiting closely are expecting him to be. And to see flashes of that and to see him just very comfortable stepping up into that role, I thought was very encouraging. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, everything we heard about Chaz Coleman leading into the season opener, saw some flashes of it, and then you really got to see him break out in game number 2. But you know what I loved to see on Saturday defensively was after the coaching staff really surprised everyone, caught us off guard, naming Antoine Belgrave Shorter, who's a young kid, he's redshirt freshman, into the starting safety role.
Yep.
There were going to be some ups and downs when you have a young player stepping into that kind of position, and Saturday was a little bit more down than up for him. And you saw Dejon Lane and King Mack step into that void he left and pick up the slack. And over the course of the season, Penn State is going to need that depth. And so for those guys to do what they did on Saturday, to me, was a very encouraging sign, because you could take the announcement of someone like Belgrave Shorter being named a starter one of two ways. You could say, oh man, that's really encouraging that a young talent who the staff really, we know, thought highly of, impressed them enough that they felt comfortable naming him a starter going into the opener.
Yep.
Or you could say, man, is that indicating that the returning talent was so underwhelming that they just couldn't go up and grab the job? So the fact that they played as well as they did when given the opportunity, to me, makes me less concerned that it's the latter. So that was, I thought, a big plus coming out of FIU.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the tight end play just as a whole, and I do think that part has lived up to expectations, which is not insignificant, because I think the expectations, at least for me, despite the loss of Tyler Warren, were sky high. Because I do think Luke Reynolds can type of player. I think Khalil Dinkins has taken another big step forward, and he was perfectly fine last year. I mean, he was a really good alternative at the tight end spot as was, but I think he has elevated his game and his blocking, Booch. I mean, he is a very good pass catcher as well, but his blocking is Tyler Warren-esque. Again, I get the competition, and I don't want to get carried away just yet and say that he should be on the All-American blocking team, but boy, he's making a very strong case for exactly that. He just looks really good. And Rappleyea, they have three really, really good tight ends. That spot has looked like I thought it would going into the season. And listen, I think I do like this receiving core. I'd like to see a couple of other than the three transfers. I'd like to see Liam Clifford maybe get take advantage of some more opportunities here and get some of these younger kids more involved as the season goes along, which I think will happen. But I think the tight ends and the receiving core, to me, through the first two games, have acquitted themselves. The tight ends extremely well, the receivers very well. And we can't let go. I mean, Wosu's punt Saturday was absurd, Booch. Like, usually you see a 67-yard punt, and you're like, all right, well, usually you read about a 67-yard punt, and it's like, all right, well, that probably 15 of it, great roll at the end. I mean, that's cool. It looks like a great stat, and that's good if you kicked it over the head and got the roll. No, this was 67 yards on the fly. I mean, that's crazy. And Wosu showed that it's not just that he has the booming leg. He put the first punt of the season was down at the 2-yard line or right around there, 2 or 3 yard line. I mean, they are good on special teams. I get there's some plays they'd like to get back, and I'm just telling you they're good. That the special teams are at least for me not a concern. Does it mean you're going to make every field goal? Nope. Does it mean every punt is going to be either in the 5 or inside the 5 or 60 yards plus? No, but they're solid there. And I like what we've seen out of the return game to this point, Booch, and I like kind of the different options that they have there if need be. So that the special teams, which inevitably. Right, inevitably they're going to be the difference in a game or two. I find it hard to believe that there's anybody that's going to have an edge over Penn State in special teams this year, and that to me is a significant plus coming out of the first 2 weeks.
Agreed. The beauty of the situation with special teams is there's just things to nitpick. They got to clean up the issue on the blocked field goal, which I don't worry about that too much. The kickoffs out of bounds, that drives me nuts. I know that drives every coach nuts too.
Yes, here's the thing. I think they were. I mean, yes, and they do. I also I don't know exactly what they were working on there, but I think they were working on something, because if he wants to just boot it straight away through the end zone, he can do it. And I suspect against Oregon that's what you do. Now maybe there's some return games, maybe at Iowa, or I haven't evaluated Iowa's return game. I'm saying maybe there's some teams out there where you're like, hey, we think we can pin them inside the 20. Let's try that. And that needs to be perfected.
Let's not talk about special teams at Iowa yet. I only got half a bottle of Maalox left after this weekend. I gotta steward it for this off week. Okay, no Iowa talk yet, please.
Very, very reasonable. Real quick, Booch, and then I know you got to get going, but Eagles Chiefs, because this is our only opportunity to talk. Just your expectation, because that is clearly the marquee game of the upcoming weekend.
Yeah, I don't think I am being a homer by saying I actually feel pretty confident about it. The Phillies beating them in the regular season. Obviously, they beat them in the Super Bowl. I think this whole idea of trying to treat early season, regular season games as quote revenge games it's not a great strategy because you already played that season. It's over with. You're not going to nobody's going to feel better about the fact that you got tattooed in the Super Bowl if you win in week 2 in the Kansas City fan base, right? Just like Baltimore Ravens fans feel like total crap this week. And I don't know that they really helped themselves going into it and building this up like, oh, we're going to get revenge for the playoff game. No, get revenge in the postseason by winning. Living well is the best revenge. So I don't worry about that too much. I'm encouraged by the fact that it looks like there is going to be no disciplinary action against Jalen Carter in terms of missing further games because they say typically if there's going to be any kind of a suspension, they announce it Monday, because that gives time for the appeals process to go through. So I think that's positive. And, KC is going to be a little banged up. So I think based on what we saw out of Philadelphia's defense, and then you bring Jalen Carter back into that equation, I think Philly's going to get the win. And I think it's important for them that they do because they've got a chance to string together some W's early in the season and really set themselves up to have a little bit more flexibility. As you know, it's a long 17-game season. You're going to have some stretches where you're a little dinged up. Things aren't clicking on all cylinders. I think this is a chance for Philly to get a really high-quality, important win. But I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know. You're still facing Patrick Mahomes, right? They did not look great last week, but that guy, until somebody else really comes up and grabs the crown from him, and there was a few people chasing him, but in my mind, he's still the best quarterback in the league.
Yep. Yeah, the creativity that he brings to the position, along with obviously the skill set and the knowledge and all of that, I'm with you. He is the best the game has to offer right now. Appreciate your filling in today, Booch.
Hey, my pleasure. Sorry I got to run out of here a little bit early on you.
Yep, absolutely fine. Chris Buchanani is now on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as well with Late Lunch with Chris Buchanani. That airs from 2 to 3, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons here now as well on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. We'll take a break here. I'll talk some Steelers and other Penn State sports when we return on this Tuesday edition here from Quaker Steak.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And back once again on this Tuesday afternoon. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube, the all-you-can-eat wing buffet. World famous is going to be getting underway as we go off the air here at 4 o'clock. They're getting things set up now. It is if you're a wing fan, it is heaven on earth here at Quaker Steak and Lube on Tuesday evenings. Again, starting at 4 o'clock, they have the big, juicy, meaty wings with all of your favorite sauces available, and they put that out from 4 until closing. It is a great opportunity to get the wings, which is what they are best known for, although their menu is phenomenal across the board. And we invite you to come on down. A great place to come if you're a sports fan, even if you're not a sports fans in particular. You come down and watch all of the great sports action on the TVs located all throughout the establishment. They have the best staff around, great food, great big menu selection, and of course they have some tasty beverages as well. Quaker Steak and Lube, our home away from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays here from 2 to 4 on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Again, no Goon today and no Goon and Ironhead show on Thursday. We'll have Pirates baseball as the Buccos will close out that series with the Orioles. And we'll have coverage starting at 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. So this will be our final show until next Tuesday, when we'll be breaking down that Villanova game and getting ready for the bye week. Pirates baseball, by the way, also rolling your way this evening. It'll be a 6:10 airtime here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox as the Buccos open up that series at Baltimore. And, of course, this weekend, the NFL season resumes. Steelers will have their home opener against the Seahawks. Pittsburgh off to a 1-0 start. Very entertaining game as well between Pittsburgh and the New York Jets. I think the Jets have clearly established what they want their identity to be under Aaron Glenn, and I think I think it's a good fit. This is one of those situations where I think Justin Fields is a good fit with the Jets. I think Fields, if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to have a very good season because the Jets are committed to that run game, to being a physical team up front, and I think Fields will be able to take advantage of that, both with his feet and with his play action game, being able to go downfield. I think the Jets have a chance to make some noise. But I will say, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, I know we keep saying it's like, man, one of these years, maybe this finally is the year. Whether or not it is the year, man, he is special. And that Buffalo Bills team is going to be in the mix here again, whether they get over the hump or not. They're going to be right there at the end of the season. I recognize and would agree with those that were saying it's always when you have a big comeback like that, is it more the Ravens collapse or more you credit the Bills for the comeback? And it's always some combination of both. I do think this one was more on the Ravens collapsing and just not being able to close out a game that they should have won. I think they were the better team for most of the night. But part of the NFL is you can't just dominate statistics. Again, that league is all about just finding a way to win. And it doesn't matter whether you win a bunch of games that statistically you lost by 1 point, or you dominated a bunch of games and you lost a few just on flukes. That league really is. It's just about getting the wins. And I think the Steelers needed to get a win to open up the season. I also think the Aaron Rodgers experiment 1 week in looks better than at least I anticipated, because listen, he's not as agile or as quick as he once was. And I do think the concern is very real with that offensive line and this version of Aaron Rodgers and how long that will last over the course of the upcoming season. But he can make every throw out there still. And he knows how to set defenses up, both with his play calling at the line of scrimmage, with the calls leading into a particular series, with adjusting with his eyes, he does have a command of the passing game, of the offense, that is elite. And I do think it bodes well for the Steelers. I keep seeing these articles on the speculation that Tyreek Hill could end up with the Steelers. I would be okay with that if it ends up happening, but the concern there is it's the locker room is always a big deal, and you add another element to the locker room there that is combustible, we shall say. And again, potential that it all works out beautifully, and the Steelers seem to be kind of going all in here, at least in their minds, for the upcoming season. I've said all along it's imperative they get off to a very good start. I think they have a chance to do that. This will be a big one coming up with the Seahawks again. Every week is going to be big. But if the Steelers can get off to like a 4-0 start, that's not that's within the realm of possibility. I think, again, they can set some things up here very nicely, and it helps that the Ravens lose their opening game. There's still a lot of concern with the Steelers, but Aaron Rodgers he gives you a chance. The rush defense is a concern for sure after week one, and the lack of a running game by the Steelers is maybe even a bigger concern, because I think there's some things that they can do defensively. I'm hoping they can make some adjustments. Obviously, getting healthy along the defensive front would help there as well. But I do think that offensive line and the lack of a rushing game, it is hard for me, at least, to envision the Steelers being there at the end of the year with the Chiefs and the Bills and the Ravens. Because of Aaron Rodgers, could they be in maybe that next group, that next wave? Yep, I think they could be. The Bengals have obviously, I think, some concerns with that defense and whether or not they're going to be able to hold those elite teams down well enough to ultimately compete for a Super Bowl or an AFC championship this year. Las Vegas, I thought from what I saw was, I think they're impressive. I think they have some really good pieces together. Again, I don't know that they're Super Bowl contender this year, but I think they're building in the right direction. If you watch Micah Parsons, pretty limited play. I think it was, I forget what I saw now, 47% is what's sticking in my mind, but less than half of the defensive snaps Parsons was on the field for. But boy, did he make his presence known with a sack, a few quarterback hurries, just a lot of pressure, a lot of energy that he brings, and brings himself, but also brings to not just the defense. I think he has energized that whole Packers locker room, and I think they went from thinking that they could be a contender to, no, we know we're a contender. We think we're now going to go win the Super Bowl. And again, it's one weekend. We'll see how everything plays out. But I think Jordan Love is working himself into being an elite quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And with Micah Parsons leading that defense, that defense I think has a chance to be very special. And you look at the rest of that division right now. I mean, the Lions, I'm curious to kind of see how they respond here. Vikings obviously had a great comeback win, and I think, it'll be interesting to see how J.J. McCarthy develops over the course of the season. He obviously has a great skill set, and I think we saw him perform under pressure very well in the clutch last night. But that's going to be a work in progress for sure throughout the course of the season. The Bears still look like the Bears at the end of the day. Looked like the better team for the first half for sure last night, but still trying to figure some things out there in Chicago. I still think the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC, but Packers feel like they are coming on strongly there and are nipping at the heels. Again, it's going to be a lot of season-long storylines worth watching. But boy, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, just I obviously, as a Steelers fan, love to see it, rooting passionately against the Ravens, and that was a great win for Buffalo. Very tough loss for Baltimore to start the season. And again, we're 1 week in. A lot of overreaction, both good and bad, by fan bases, by organizations, by the media. But for the Steelers, again, to me, it was imperative that they get off to, at the very least, a 2-0 start. I think they had to beat the Jets, and I think they need to come back this week and take care of business in the home opener to have a good feel. When I say they need to win or must win them, obviously, I'm not saying they could go 0-2 and still make the playoffs. More the vibe around the organization, the feeling about the team. I think they need to get this week under their belt as well and get off to that 2-0 start to develop some confidence. And listen, again, that offensive line has got to get better. They've got to figure out a way to get that running game going. I think if the defense can stay healthy, they'll play themselves into being better against the run than what they were against the Jets. And give New York credit. They came in with a very clear purpose and mission, and I think to a very large degree they accomplished that. They wanted to show that they are a physical team. They are a team that can grind out the tough yards, and no question they did that. They did it very consistently against the Steelers this last week. But we'll see. I think the Steelers are going to make some adjustments. I think Cam Hayward will work himself into. He looked very pedestrian in that game. That is I think a result of the contract situation and the hold-in status at practices. So I think that thing will work itself out. I don't know that the Steelers are going to be great against the run, but I think they're going to be better than they were against the Jets this past week. But I thought it was a really entertaining weekend for the opening weekend in the NFL. And I think there's still a lot that is going to be fun to see how it plays out. The couple of things that I think we know after week one, I am going, and maybe it'll come back and haunt me. The Bills are winning the AFC East. Not exactly a crazy bold prediction, but I don't think the Miami Dolphins are winning it. Don't think the New England Patriots have a shot. I actually do think the Jets, to me, are going to look like the nearest competition for the Bills, but I don't think the Jets are there yet. But I am curious to see if Justin Fields continues to look the way he did on Sunday against the Steelers. I think the Jets could be in the playoff mix here at the end of the season. But that division does look like it is Buffalo's again for the taking. The AFC North, I still think the Ravens are the team to beat, but I will say again, if the Steelers can get off to a good start, the Steelers-Ravens are always the touchdown or less games, and with the Ravens doing what they did Sunday night, it's can't feel overly confident if you're a Ravens fan that you're going to be able to close the games out when you need to. I am more optimistic than I thought I would be after week one of the Steelers' chances of competing the AFC North. I still think it is very much a 3 and could still possibly be a 4-team race. It's just until the Browns actually show you something in terms of being able to win games consistently, it's just hard to buy into them. But I certainly think they're talented enough, probably should have won the game. But how many? I mean, we've said that time and time again over the last couple of years. Boy, the Browns should have won that one. Probably should have won the game against Cincinnati. The Bengals, certainly with offensively, they are good enough to compete in every game. But that defense is so porous. I really struggle to see how they can be a team that can compete for the AFC Championship when the playoffs roll around. It's just really hard to just consistently outscore teams that have the firepower of the Bills or the Ravens, as we saw on Sunday night. And listen, the Steelers, if and it's a big if, but if they can get this running game going at all, man, the Steelers, I think they're going to be able to put up points if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, and that's going to be the other big question is with that offensive line, can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy for all of, or at least a majority of the season? And I think that's a very real concern after what we saw on Sunday, despite the good things we did see from that offense and from his play. So looking forward to seeing how all of that plays out. A couple of other notes I just wanted to touch on the local front with other Penn State sports real quickly. The Penn State women's volleyball team got a good win over New Hampshire, got a lot of their younger players and backups in that third set. Sweeping New Hampshire to snap that 3-game losing skid. Not overly concerned about the 3-game losing skid in and of itself, because the competition, I mean, until New Hampshire, those first 5 matches were all against really good volleyball teams, teams that are, I think, going to be in the top 20 when the season ends. They're in the top 25 right now, but I think quality opponents across the board in those first 5 matches. The Izzy Stark situation, and Izzy Stark, if you're not aware, is one of the nation's top setters, was a freshman phenom last year, and was no doubt a key component to Penn State's national championship run last year. Just a really key piece of the championship puzzle for Penn State a year ago. And she was not in the lineup against Kentucky, and then I think very early in that Kentucky match, put out on social media. I think it was either, it doesn't matter, it was social media. She put out a statement saying she was stepping away, paraphrasing here, but stepping away to take care of some mental health issues, and really wanted to focus on her growth and development away from the game. Did say it's not goodbye to the sport forever by any stretch, but just feel she needs to take the rest of this season off and focus on her well-being. And that's fine, and respect her privacy, and hope that she does what she needs to do to get to a really good place, and hope she gets back into the sport, because she is great for the sport, great for the Penn State program, and hope she has success next year. Just from this team now, the remainder of this season, they do have a transfer that came in that is we're going to see how well and how quickly she can develop, because it is a big blow to Penn State's chances, I think, this year of winning the national title. It is not unlike getting a second string quarterback in there. No matter how good that quarterback, it's just hard once the season gets underway to make an adjustment to a new quarterback. So we'll see, but I do think that's a big blow for Penn State. They do have some depth there, and again, they brought in and her name is escaping me right now, but brought her in from the transfer portal, and she played well against New Hampshire. It'll be interesting to see kind of how well over the next couple of weeks. I do think this Penn State team is, even with Stark in there, was going to be a bit of a work in progress, but there is talent there, and I do think as the season unfolds, the experiences, including the 3-game losing streak, can bode well. They just they got to readjust on the fly here very quickly, and the remainder of this home stretch, they have another 7 matches remaining here, starting tonight against Bucknell. They'll win that one easily, but trying to build some momentum and get some cohesion with that new starting lineup is going to be a key component. All right, that is going to wrap things up for today's show. We will be back next Tuesday. Again, we'll have Pirates baseball on Thursday afternoon, the Nittany Lions and Villanova at Beaver Stadium in a 3:30 kickoff on Saturday. The Goon and I will be back next Tuesday here at Quaker Steak and Lube. Until then,
no one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.